Remember when Justin Trudeau promised to run a modest $10 billion deficit after he got elected? And remember how the Liberals' first budget with a projected $30 billion deficit actually weighed in at about 3 times the modest one that they promised us? Well, you might also recall that all of that public debt was a debt of choice, not circumstance. The Liberals chose to spend away Canada's surplus and drive our country into debt. But much of the Canadian populace were content with the promise the Liberals' choice would provide a Keynesian kickstart to our economy. That's what we were led to believe. And so we carried on busting our butts at work and faithfully paying our taxes and hoping that the Liberals would make good on their word. Folks trusted that the federal Liberals were spending our money as a means of investing it into our future. Well, I'm sorry to report, that is not what is actually happening behind the scenes. Canada's Liberal government is actually using our money to send themselves to fancy galas, sporting events, and even Justin Bieber concerts. Not even kidding. According to a fresh order paper submitted from the federal conservative government departments were asked, as well as their agencies and crown corporations, to provide a response concerning all gala, concert, or sporting events tickets that they purchased using taxpayer funds. Now, to be fair, some of the elaborate expenses reported in this order paper are indeed defensible. Representatives, for instance, from Canada's Ministry of Global Affairs, whining and dining foreign diplomats and mission heads is the sort of stuff that the taxpayer can expect when it comes to behind-the-scenes statecraft and strategy. However, there is a fine line between what falls within the purview of publicly funded business meetings and, well, flat out hosing the taxpayer. And after reading these documents, I can't help but wonder if that little line is being crossed on a constant basis by those people entrusted with protecting the public purse. Here, you judge for yourself. Our Minister of Agriculture, well, he signed off on not 1, not 2, but 7 football games bought and paid for by us, the taxpayers. Minister Macaulay handed over the tickets, some 28 in total, to Farm Credit Canada. And that's a financial services agency. But it's anyone's guess what sort of business they were actually doing at any one of those 7 games. Because, yeah, they didn't so much as actually provide a list of the attendees. They're happy to use our funds, but maintaining a list of who benefited from those funds, I guess, is just a little too much to ask. And that's just the beginning. Liberal MPs also signed off on tickets for 2 Blue Jays games. Those tickets went to the Canada Lands Company, an organization tasked with managing and selling Crown lands. 2 Blue Jays games, you're probably thinking. That's not so bad. Yeah, except between those 2 games, a total of 70 tickets were bought on the public dime. And it wasn't for the sake of some noble diplomatic endeavor or, heck, even wooing some fat cat willing to fork over a pretty penny for a chunk of Crown land. Those 70 tickets were for Canada Lands Company staff, an employee appreciation award, as they put it, times 70. But wait, there's more. NHL tickets for Canada Post, you know, that organization that has a monopoly on mail delivery, whose only mandate is to charge the Canadian people more and more as they provide less and less service. That corporation. In their filings, though, Canada Post doesn't even provide how many tickets were bought or who actually attended this hockey game. I mean, can we even be sure that any part of the Detroit Red Wings game was spent on actual official business if we don't even know who was in the seats that we paid for? And what is there even to discuss in a monopoly structure? Hey, should we raise the cost of stamps again? Why, yes, we should. Ha, marvelous, another goal. And it's not just Canada Post living it up ringside. The folks at Destination Canada, that's an organization that promotes tourism to Canada, those folks are having a great old time on the public purse. Except rather than meeting on their own home turf, you know, the place that they're supposedly focused on attracting tourism to, well, they're actually trotting all over the globe. Like their rendezvous to Minneapolis, where Destination Canada racked up a bill just shy of $4,000 to attend, you guessed it, another hockey game. But why just see a hockey game while stateside when you can see the Canadian legend himself? No, not that Justin. The other Justin. Justin Bieber. Folks at Destination Canada actually spent taxpayer money in the thousands to attend a Justin Bieber concert while they were in Seattle. But perhaps the most egregious use of public funds was this: tens of thousands of dollars to attend a tennis match. But not just any tennis match, not say the Rogers Cup in Canada. Destination Canada spent tens of thousands of dollars to attend Wimbledon, the most expensive, the most exclusive tennis event on the face of the planet, which takes place not in the country that they're tasked with promoting, but in the United Kingdom. Now, if there's someone out there who can tell me how attending a hockey game in Minneapolis or a rock concert in Seattle or a tennis match in the UK somehow promotes tourism to Canada, go ahead. Perhaps then I'd be willing to give these expenses some further consideration. But frankly, folks, I'm not convinced at this point that a dime of this spending was put towards good use. I'm not convinced that any of the spending that I've just outlined for you is anything more than a flagrant abuse of taxpayer funds. I mean, these public servants are even charging us for luncheons between themselves. Like this one between the Museum for Human Rights and the Minister for Natural Resources. You know, the sort of meetings you'd think were already covered in their government paychecks. But hey, perhaps I'm naive. This is, after all, a story of liberals spending our money for their own benefit and enjoyment. Spare me the outrage, you might say. But here's the thing. I can't help but think of Canadians out there for whom attending a hockey game with their kids or a baseball game, or heck, even a Justin Bieber concert would be a total luxury, something that they'd save up for and look forward to. Too bad for them, I guess. If only they had made the lucrative life choice to become a government bureaucrat. Then they could get Canada's Liberal government to cut them a check to do just that, at the taxpayers' expense. For the Rebel.media, I'm Faith Goldie. Like what you just saw, we cover a lot of stories involving Liberal misspending. You want to catch them all? Click below to subscribe to our YouTube channel.